Am I the antagonist for confronting my roommate? My 4 roommates and I, all 20-year-old females, are very close and good friends. It's normal for us to share things like clothes, jewelry, and so on. Usually we ask each other first, but sometimes it's a quick borrow and return later. Recently, I was planning my outfits for a holiday trip home, and I had a specific dress in mind to wear. One of my roommates was also going home for the same holiday, but would be leaving a few days earlier since she lived in a different state. Important later. We discussed ideas for her outfit, and I mentioned my dress plan. When the time came to start packing for my trip, I couldn't find the dress anywhere. Misplacing items occasionally is normal for me, so I wasn't too worried at first. However, despite searching extensively, I still couldn't locate the dress. I thought I had seen it in my closet, but perhaps I had left it at home or somewhere else. At this point, I started to feel stressed about it and sent a text to one of my other roommates asking if she had taken it. Due to my stress, the text may have come across as rude. The morning of my departure, I had to make a last-minute decision and buy a new dress since I couldn't find mine. The only suitable dress I found was priced at around $90, which isn't terrible for a nice dress, but as a college student, it was a significant expense. Later on, I packed my things and headed home for the holiday. Weeks later, after all my roommates and I returned to the apartment, I noticed that my dress was back in the closet. I started panicking, feeling like I had gone crazy. I simply couldn't believe that it had been there the whole time. Days later, while sitting on the couch with 2 of my roommates, the one mentioned earlier and a different one, the original roommate showed us a picture from her time at home. As she clicked through the photos, one showed her wearing the exact dress I had planned to wear. I asked her to confirm that it was mine, and she admitted that it was. I expressed how stressed and upset I had been about losing the dress and having to buy a new one, costing me another $90. I also mentioned that I wish she had told me before taking it several states away. However, instead of acknowledging my frustration, she became defensive and angry, yelling at me about the situation. Despite being upset, I remained calm and told her that she should have texted me beforehand. She responded by saying, "You would have said no." It was true, but only because I had already mentioned my plans to wear it. I also explained that I had spent around $90 on the new dress, only for her to redirect the conversation towards me, placing blame on me. Weeks later, the unresolved conversation resurfaced, and she brought up the fact that I owe her $30 for the few times I used her dry shampoo, with her permission. To be fair, I can understand how it might appear that I expected her to reimburse me, but I intended it as a way to show her how inconvenient her actions had been for me. Additionally, I later discovered that she had been trying to convince the roommate I initially texted to lie to me, take the blame, and keep it all a secret. It is natural for close friends and roommates to share belongings, but it is also important to respect each other's boundaries and communicate clearly. In this situation, you had discussed your plans to wear a certain dress for a holiday trip, but your roommate took it without informing you and even brought it to another state. This caused you unnecessary stress and forced you to spend money on a new dress. It would have been considerate for your roommate to ask for your permission or at least inform you about her intentions. Furthermore, instead of acknowledging her mistake and apologizing for the inconvenience caused, your roommate became defensive and shifted the blame onto you. Additionally, her attempt to manipulate another roommate into lying and keeping it a secret is concerning and shows a lack of accountability. While it is understandable that your roommate wants to address the issue of using her dry shampoo, it is not appropriate for her to use that as leverage to avoid taking responsibility for her actions in regard to the dress situation. In conclusion, it would be reasonable for your roommate to acknowledge her mistake, apologize for causing you stress, and perhaps consider reimbursing you for the cost of the dress. It is important for all roommates to communicate openly and respect each other's boundaries when sharing belongings. Am I the antagonist for getting our neighborhood dog Olympics canceled instead of bending the rules for a neighbor? I understand that this may seem like a trivial issue, but it's something that has become a problem, and I need some advice. Around 5-6 years ago, our homeowners association decided that our neighborhood was lacking excitement and encouraged residents to come up with ideas or activities to make things more lively. This is when the Pup Olympics was born. The Pup Olympics is essentially a fun event where neighborhood dogs compete in various silly events over the span of 2 days and receive treats as rewards. Initially, there were prizes for the owners of the winning dogs in each event, and it was all in good fun. After a few years, we started charging an entry fee for each event, and the money collected went towards cash prizes and a donation to a local animal shelter, where many of us got our dogs. It's worth mentioning that most people in the neighborhood choose to donate their cash prizes to the shelter, resulting in a significant donation. People eagerly anticipate the Pup Olympics every year because, despite being ridiculous, it brings us all joy. However, 18 months ago, a new neighbor moved in with a poodle that frequently competes in and wins dog competitions. This poodle has a massive following on Instagram, and we all enjoy following their page and cheering for the dog during competitions. I should note that the issue does not lie with the dog itself. Unfortunately, last year's Pup Olympics was ruined because this poodle won every single competition, except for the senior dog event. We ended up giving cash prizes to the same woman for every event, and she didn't contribute any additional funds to the shelter, which makes me question whether I'm wrong for judging her. As a result, what was meant to be a family-friendly event turned into something it was never intended to be, like having a professional athlete compete in a high school field day. As the Pup Olympics are approaching again this year, my committee decided to implement a no-competition dogs rule in order to level the playing field for other owners and families. However, when the poodle's owner was informed about this, she became furious. The HOA held a committee meeting and ultimately sided with her, stating that we couldn't exclude her or her dog if we wanted to continue hosting the competition in the neighborhood. After considering the situation, I went ahead and sent out a cancellation notice. Although someone from the HOA board tried to salvage the event, there hasn't been much interest. Now, the poodle's owner has been sending me multiple vindictive messages, implying that I canceled the event to personally harm her. The neighborhood is divided on who was in the wrong, with opinions split down the middle. So my question is, am I the one at fault here? You organized the Pup Olympics as a fun event for the neighborhood, but it became unfair and unenjoyable for others due to the dominance of a professional show dog owned by a new neighbor. It is understandable that you and your committee decided to implement a no-competition dogs rule to level the playing field for other owners and families. It is unfortunate that the new neighbor reacted negatively and that the HOA sided with her, causing the cancellation of the event. It is not fair for her to imply that you did this to specifically hurt her personally. It appears that you made several attempts to compromise during the meetings and find a solution that worked for everyone, but the new neighbor's demands were unreasonable. In conclusion, while some may see your decision as exclusionary, it was made in order to maintain the spirit of the Pup Olympics and preserve the enjoyment for all the participants involved. Am I the antagonist for getting upset because my partner doesn't make or suggest us plans? My partner recently quit her job after working there for over 6 years. A friend of hers mentioned to me how jealous they were that my wife had decided to take the summer off. This came as a surprise to me because I thought she was only taking a few weeks off before starting freelance work. I expressed my surprise and disappointment to my wife, explaining that I wished she had informed me in advance about her plans to take 3 months off. I thought it would have been a great opportunity for us to spend quality time together and maybe even go on a fun trip. She apologized but didn't seem particularly concerned about it. To provide some context, our relationship has faced issues in the past regarding her tendency to make plans with friends and family without discussing them with me. This was a major concern when we sought couples therapy a couple of years ago. During her vacation time, she would prioritize these plans over planning anything for us as a couple. Her reason for not including me in her plans was that she was afraid I wouldn't like what she suggested. Our therapist advised her to overcome this fear and start prioritizing our time together. However, 18 months later, she still hasn't taken the initiative to plan anything. About 4 weeks after she quit her job, while she was visiting her family and making plans exclusively with friends, I asked her if she wanted to do something together. She said yes, but didn't have any ideas. I then inquired if she had already made plans to travel with anyone else during her time off. She initially said no, but after asking her 3 more times, she finally admitted that she was trying to plan a trip with an old college friend for the following month, although her friend's availability hadn't been confirmed yet. I was not informed or invited to join at any point. This revelation hurt me deeply, and I conveyed my feelings to her. I expressed how, over the years, we hadn't taken any enjoyable trips together, despite having had several fun trips earlier in our relationship when we met while traveling. I pointed out that even after working at the same job for 6 years, which she had used as an excuse for not traveling together due to her busyness and uncertain availability, she suddenly announced a trip with her friends to Sun Valley. It left me feeling disregarded and disappointed. In response, my partner acted confused and claimed I was overreacting. However, considering her intention to plan another trip with a friend, I decided to take matters into my own hands and planned a solo trip to visit my sister overseas. When she realized she wasn't invited, she became upset. Am I the asshole for feeling like it's a lost cause waiting for my partner to plan anything for us? It appears that you and your partner have had ongoing issues with communication and prioritizing quality time together. It is understandable that you would feel upset by your wife's repeated patterns of not involving you in her plans and prioritizing plans with friends and family over time as a couple. It seems like you have made efforts to address this issue in therapy, and despite the therapist's advice, there hasn't been a significant change in your partner's behavior. Your choice to plan a solo trip to visit your sister overseas can be seen as a response to feeling neglected and not prioritized in your partner's plans. However, it's important to note that interpersonal relationships are complex, and it may be beneficial for you and your partner to seek therapy or have an open and honest conversation about your feelings and expectations to work towards finding a resolution together. Am I the antagonist for humiliating my boyfriend over a Mario Kart game? For some context, I am a 21-year-old female who loves playing Mario Kart. I used to play daily with my cousins since I was 8 years old until I started college. I play online and also enjoy time trials mode. At one point, I even held a world record in Mario Kart 8. Now, my ex-boyfriend Ethan, who is also 21 years old, is an avid gamer. He owns various consoles and plays almost every genre of game. He gets extremely competitive in pretty much every game, including Minecraft. On the other hand, I don't enjoy gaming as much. I only have my Nintendo Switch, on which I play Minecraft, Mario Kart, and occasionally other games I find on sale. When I play with friends, I'm not that competitive. I usually deliberately choose a bad combination or avoid taking shortcuts to level the playing field and make the game fun for everyone. Before this past Sunday, whenever I played with Ethan and our friends, I would downplay my skills a lot. Every time I lost a race, Ethan would mockingly say things like, "I don't understand why your cousins say you're a pro at this game," or, "Is this really your best, babe?" Initially, his comments didn't bother me because I knew he acted that way with everyone in every game he played. However, recently he started making these comments even when I was not gaming. For example, when I'm driving, he would say he hoped I didn't drive in real life like I do in the game. Last Sunday, we were at our friend Elle's place playing the game again, and Ethan finally got on my nerves. I was fed up, so I asked for a moment to change my combination in the game and started playing as I normally do when I play online. Surprisingly, I won every race we played. As expected, Ethan made a scene, accusing me of cheating or manipulating my Joy-Cons somehow. He even started screaming and clenching his fists tightly. In response, I simply said, "I've been holding back when playing with you to spare your feelings, Ethan. And you need to learn how to lose, especially in something as insignificant as a video game." After that, he left without me, even though he was the one who gave me a ride to Elle's house. So not only was I feeling humiliated because of the scene he caused in front of all my friends, but I also had to ask my mom to come pick me up. I suppose this was the final straw, as I sent him a text that night ending our relationship. Since Monday, he has been calling and texting me incessantly, asking for a chance to talk. However, I realized I don't want anything to do with him anymore, so I have been ignoring him. Nevertheless, I can't help but feel that I created an embarrassing situation for him. I feel like I should apologize for it and for the way I ended our relationship. Your ex-boyfriend's behavior towards you was disrespectful and belittling. He constantly made negative comments about your gaming skills, and even extended those comments to other aspects of your life. You tried to downplay yourself to avoid his criticism, but when you finally showed your true skill, he couldn't handle it. You confronted him about his behavior and told him that he needs to learn how to lose graciously. It's important to stand up for yourself and set boundaries, especially when someone repeatedly puts you down. Breaking up with him was the right decision if you no longer want to be in a relationship with someone who disrespects you. It's understandable that you may feel guilty about the situation and the way you broke up with him. However, it's important to prioritize your own well-being and happiness. Ignoring him and cutting off contact is a valid choice if you no longer want to have any involvement with him. In this situation, it is not necessary for you to apologize. He was the one who caused the embarrassing scene in front of your friends, and he needs to reflect on his own behavior. Focus on moving forward and surround yourself with people who treat you with respect and support your interests. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom she can't come to my house when I'm babysitting my nephew? My mother, 31, was babysitting for my sister Sarah, 26. They had a falling out and mom told Sarah to get all the baby's 11 months belongings and not to bring him back. I only know what Sarah told me, and our mom mentioned that she wasn't being paid and that the baby's father, Calvin, was being disrespectful. But I was also told she called him a racial slur. It's a complete mess. Anyway, Sarah asked me if I could babysit for her. The pay is not great, but honestly, I don't really need the money, and I'm her only option considering her working hours. So I agreed to help her out. I'm supposed to start tomorrow. My mom wanted to visit my house and see me and my daughter, 6, at some point. I asked Sarah if she was comfortable with our mom being around the baby because she mentioned that she had blocked our mom. She said no, so I informed mom that we would have to work around our babysitting schedule because Sarah didn't want her near the baby. Initially, mom was fine with it, but today she asked if she could ask me something without getting me mad. I said okay. She wanted to know how I could let someone control who I allow in my house. She believed it was my decision, not Sarah's. She even told me to talk to my husband about it for some reason. I told her that my husband and I had already discussed this because I keep him updated on what I'm doing, and I wanted him to be aware of all the drama in case I needed his support. He agreed that I shouldn't go against my sister since it's her child, not that I ever planned to. I told her that it's Sarah's baby, so I must respect her rules. I'm not disrespecting her when it comes to her child. I've tried to stay out of the middle of their issue, and I made that clear to mom. Their problems have nothing to do with me. I just wanted to help my sister since she needed it. Their fight has nothing to do with me, and I have no problem with mom. I'm simply not going against someone's wishes regarding their child. I told her that she could be upset with me, but I have no issue with her. If she has any negative feelings towards me, it's on her, and although I'm sorry to hear it, I hope everything can still be fine between us in general. Sarah and I have experienced a significant amount of trauma from this woman, so I'm not getting involved in that again. I do acknowledge that Sarah can sometimes be dishonest, so I'm not saying that mom is lying about what she said, but mom isn't always trustworthy either. All I want is to help my sister and respect her wishes regarding her baby. Am I the a-hole here? You're not in the wrong for respecting your sister's wishes when it comes to her child. It sounds like there is a lot of underlying tension and history between your mother, sister, and yourself, but you are doing the right thing by staying out of their fight and focusing on helping your sister. Your mother asking you to go against your sister's wishes and questioning your decision is not fair or respectful. Your sister's child, her rules. It's important to prioritize your sister's needs and boundaries, especially considering the history of trauma in your relationship with your mother. You are being supportive of your sister and her situation. It's understandable that you're concerned about your mother's intentions, especially considering her inappropriate behavior towards the baby's father and use of racial slurs. Your sister's trust is valuable, and you are doing the right thing by respecting her wishes. Overall, you are not the asshole in this situation. Would I be the antagonist if I didn't sign my coworker's leaving card after what she said? I, a 20-year-old female, started a new job about a month and a half ago. I'm still in the process of learning a lot since I'm dealing with completely unfamiliar systems and protocols. My shift is from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday, with an unpaid half-hour lunch break. There's a coworker who I'll refer to as Louise who is around 50, 60 years old and works part-time. On the days she's here, we're scheduled to finish at the same time. Normally, I begin preparing to leave a few minutes before 4 p.m. This involves clearing my desk for the next day, logging out of my computer, and gathering my belongings. I then leave promptly at 4. Today, I happened to be ready a few seconds early when Louise stopped me. She said, "You're leaving early. You're supposed to work until 4, but you're always packing up 4 minutes before. It's as if you hate being here." I was taken aback by this comment because Louise frequently complains throughout the day, regardless of whether the issues are significant or not. I considered her comment to be sarcasm, but she appeared genuinely annoyed. Since I'm new and prefer to avoid trouble, I didn't want to confront her. Instead, I explained, "That's not the case at all. I just want to leave on time because if I'm even a minute late, I'll miss my bus. This would add an extra half hour to my already 1-hour commute." She responded, "That's your reason? I'm a temporary staff member, but I still work overtime even though I'm not paid. Yet you're just itching to go. It says a lot about how much you like it here." I stood there, waiting to see if she had anything else to add, but I don't care. "I'm leaving next week, so do whatever you want," she continued, being passive-aggressive. Feeling upset, I decided to leave after that conversation. It bothered me because I'm giving my best effort despite being unfamiliar with everything. I already felt like an outsider due to other mistreatment, and Louise only seemed to interact with me when she wanted to point out a mistake or inform me about something I already knew. If she had the time to notice when I left, I would have hoped she also noticed that I work through lunches, sometimes skipping them entirely, just to ensure I complete my daily tasks. Considering she takes leisurely walks lasting 5-10 minutes, completely unrelated to work, or brews multiple cups of tea, which is time-consuming, I would never bring it up because who cares? Additionally, she's leaving. Honestly, I want nothing to do with her anymore, except for maybe exchanging a hi and bye to avoid her spreading rumors about me being rude for ignoring her. However, there's a farewell card going around to be signed for her last day, and since we work in the same office, it's expected that I sign it and write a nice note. Unfortunately, nothing nice comes to mind. So, would I be the asshole if I didn't sign her leaving card after that incident? You are not obligated to sign a leaving card or write a nice note for someone who has consistently treated you poorly and criticized your work ethic. Louise's comments were unfair and uncalled for, especially considering that you are still new to the job and trying your best. It is understandable that you would not want to engage with her any further, and it is your choice whether or not to participate in the office tradition of signing the card. Your well-being and mental health should always take precedence, so do what feels right for you. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.